G'day, Simo. It's Chatters here. I'll kick us off then. Well, what can you tell us this week about who's out at the moment? We're hearing Shuey and Rioli and a few others.
Yeah, I'll be as honest and as clear as I can be, but we're really not at the final stages of selection yet. We've got to get through another couple of days, hopefully COVID-free, and that probably hasn't happened to us for the last 2 weeks. So at this stage, I think we'll probably miss another 5 players. I think it's 5. With the health and safety protocols. So Luke will miss, Duggan, Rioli, Bailey Williams and Jack Williams. So there's that. And then a lot of the guys come out today, which is great, really good to see them. And we got through a training session. So we're just going to see how those guys pull up tomorrow, and we push training back a day to try and get everyone together. Really good spirits, good unity. But we really won't know until, well, I think we've got a deadline tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and even then, you know, you've got to get through another COVID test that afternoon and one probably game day. So at this stage, long story short, I think we'll have 25 players to choose from again. So we'll have to dip into the top-up boys for at least one emergency, and possibly more if we get a few more in the next couple of days. But yeah, there's still a good vibe, good environment. Up for the challenge, and there's plenty of resilience we're dealing with. So onwards we go.
And is Barris going to get out in time, or is he going to be ruled out this week as well?
No, he's still not symptom-free at the moment, Tom. So the clock's ticking, and there'll be a point where it's gone past him being available. So that we're still holding out hope, but at this stage he's still in the health and safety protocols.
And we've spoken to a lot of coaches from other sports about when players return from COVID, and they're always very cautious about getting the heart rate up and things like that. AFL's on another level to other sports as well in terms of physicality and endurance. So how do you handle that aspect of keeping the players safe, and how do you monitor that?
Oh yeah, well obviously we'll do everything we can to make sure we keep our players as safe as they can be. I mean, we're not the first club to deal with players returning from COVID. So yeah, there's plenty of examples across our competition of players coming back the day of. So it's just every case is different, and that's why we need to respect people's health and well-being. In this case, it's just different than a normal injury. We really shouldn't be talking too much about how they're going. A lot of it's private, but yeah, we're aware of the situation for sure.
No, I was just going to ask Simo, have you decided on those top-up players? There were a few supposedly at training today, and how close maybe are they to playing?
Well, we don't know. I mean, like I said, there'll be one in the squad, and then we'll see how we go. I mean, we haven't got anyone else coming back in from our list, so there'll be one in the squad and possibly more to come. So. Yeah, we need a few as backup. We're hoping the waffle can actually help us out a little bit by allowing them to be emergencies, or possibly allowing them to play. I'm sure it won't be an issue, but they've got their games they've got to look after. They've got practice matches they want to play tomorrow, so we need to work through that with them. But yeah, at this stage there'll be one. We haven't decided who yet, so we're just got to see how our team looks with how our guys pull up tomorrow, really. So that's why the AFL have been really good for us. We're pushing back selection. I know there's deadlines, but to give us a few days extra, we really appreciate that, so we can actually give everyone a bit more clarity, because we don't have that right now.
So Adam, who are you expecting to get back?
Well, I can't tell you. I mean, we've got to see how everyone pulls up. So you guys know there's not enough time for me to go through everyone who's coming in and out of protocols. So yeah, the team will look significantly different. Like we've played 37 players in 2 weeks, and I suspect there'll be, I actually have not even counted, but there could be 10 to 15 changes this week, with 5 guys going out and possibly 10 guys, and there's actually selection as well. And is that even possible to elevate or drop players. So we've got to work through all that. And I honestly can't, hand on heart, I can't give you the exact details because it's just too up in the air at the moment.
So are you thinking you'll field a stronger team than last week, though? You obviously looked short at either end last week. Are you thinking you can bolster that a bit?
Well, yeah, you'd hope so, but we were really happy with effort last week, and we've been talking about the sense of belonging and unity and resilience, all those things. But you like to have the best talent too, so we're working hard to get both. We had 4 or 5 top-up players play last week. We're hoping that won't happen, but it's Friday and the game's on Sunday, so we're. At this stage, we should get some players back, but we're going to lose. You lose Luke Shuey and Willie Rioli and Liam Duggan, and then Oscar Allen's not playing, and Cripps and Yo and Sheed. So there's a few players missing out of our best team, but that's why we've been talking about opportunity, because that's what we're going to look at this as. And hopefully when we get through all this, we're a stronger list that's more resilient.
And will you get anyone back from actual footy injuries? So Gaff, Nelson or West? Yeah,
that's a good question. I think Gaff and Nelson are more likely than unlikely, but we've got to see them tomorrow. Nelson trained, I think, today for the most part. Gaff did a little bit yesterday. Feels good. So he'll do the captain's run tomorrow. If he gets through that, he'll play. But we won't know until we really test him out. We're just leaving it as late as we can. And on top of all this, we just can't take any extra risk with these players as well. So, yeah, it's a balancing act, but hopefully those two do come back. And West is still a decision from a hamstring, and he's been in the COVID protocols, so I only saw him today. So once again, we need to take our time and assess things tomorrow.
Adam, in terms of Western Derby build-ups, is this one of the more bizarre that you've seen in your time, or I guess through the entirety of the Western Derbies?
Oh, it's just bizarre. We're doing these press conferences on a computer where obviously both clubs are dealing with their own. We've probably been hit a little bit harder, I'd say, than Freo with COVID, or we definitely have. But but they've got their own concerns with obviously Longy not coaching, but they've got a system that they play, and like us, you'd like to think, if I'm not here, that this system just rolls out. So I'm sure they're talking like that. But yeah, it seems both clubs are dealing with a bit of adversity at the moment, and yeah, you probably won't see the absolute best out of both of us, but I think you'll see a good spirited game.
Coming up against Jamie Graham as well, who obviously filled in for yourself. Just talking about Jamie, I know obviously there was high raps on him internally at West Coast, but why is he, I guess, an emerging coach on the scene?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should be talking up the opposition coach before the game. Why don't you ask me after the game, and then I can pump him up then, or we'll give him a clip depending on how we play. It's he's obviously been around the circles of AFL for a long time now. He's very accomplished. He's driven. He's got great empathy for people and his players. So, yeah, he's a good acquisition for Fremantle, and I'm sure he'll do well.
In terms of, I guess, having pillars or non-negotiables, the work rate, the effort, the spirit and all of that, has that sort of almost tweaked a little bit in the last 3 weeks, given the COVID situation that, some team focuses that you've got going into games have sort of almost gone out the window a little bit, or had to have been relaxed in other ways?
Yeah, it's interesting for us. We had a little shift with our style of play, and we want to grow our identity as a side a little bit differently than what we have in the past. We've had really good success with what we've done, and we're looking to improve and evolve. So that's been hard with what we've been dealt with, but it's also been a great opportunity because we've got now, I think, a stronger sense, and I've said this a lot, but there's a stronger sense of belonging amongst all our players because they've all had to step up. So we're not relying on 25 players at the moment, we're relying on 42. In fact, probably 42 plus the train on. So hand on heart, I can honestly say that we've grown as a club. Does that mean we win? Not at the moment, but I'm hoping in the long run we look back at this experience as a real good opportunity rather than a crisis or something we found hard to manage. So yeah, we're trying to be mature about it, but we want to win. Absolutely, we want to win.
And just on that, I mean, obviously 0-2 to start the year, and there has been obviously considerable challenges, but I dare say the 4 points is pretty crucial on Sunday, given 0-3 is not the ideal position for any team to be.
No, it's not, and it doesn't matter where your club's at. That's reality. So the pressure to succeed is always there in our industry, and I think I said in press conference on Sunday, they're not excuses, but there's reasons why we're finding it a challenge at the moment. But we're not shying away from the fact we need to win and we want to win. Absolutely.
Adam, how has Tim Kelly pulled up from his game, and just with his fade out in the second half, does that make you wary at all of bringing back too many players off COVID at once?
Yeah, that's everyone's going to be different, and like I said, I think some people will come back and from a week off and play the day of, they get out, and some won't get up 3 days later. So I think every case will be dealt differently. With Tim, look, he's obviously a class player, and he started like a house on fire and did fade. So we need to work through, and we have worked through. Obviously, there's parts of his game that we thought he can improve in the second half, and there's obviously dealing with COVID. So that's also real. We're not going to shy away from the fact that if we play multiple players who've had a week off in isolation, there's going to be challenges for them to get through 120 minutes. So that's sort of, we haven't got a choice but to deal with that. And as long as we don't put our players into any health and safety risks as players, then we might just be dealing with some rustiness.
And just in terms of trying to put a midfield together, Jack Redden looks like somebody who could be extremely important to have. Are you expecting to get him back?
Well, he's like all the other boys, so if he gets through tomorrow, look, I think round one we had Gaff and Redden, mainly the two sort of mainstays on ballers. So he's a premiership player. He's played a couple of hundred games. He's a mature leader. So yeah, he's just like all the other senior players. He's pretty important right now if we can get him playing.
Just obviously Fremantle are in a much better position with availability at this stage. But what's your gut feel? Is this derby winnable with the team you think you might have?
Yeah, well, I mean, every coach I'd expect would say every game is winnable. We thought last week we were a real chance going into the game, and nothing changes for us. You've got to have that belief. We're working on the evidence part. We see parts of our game as a real step forward for long term. But, doing it for long enough is our next challenge. And I'm sure Fremantle are the same. There's parts of their game that's been exceptional. I mean, they beat us by 100 points in the pre-season game and then knocked us over again the next week. So, I'm sure they've got parts they want to work on and parts that they're really happy with. So we're no different. It's just that personnel's changing so much. The rhythm and synergies, it's hard to get that. But effort and attitude and work rate, we expect that.
The Dockers copped a real hammering in the clearances last week, and it's an area they've really identified this week. Are you expecting them to come out pretty fired up in that area?
What do you reckon, Chatters?
I reckon definitely.
Of course, that's coaching. That's evolving as a team. It's you have a bad week in one area, you really focus on it. We've been beaten the contest quite heavily for the first 2 rounds. We've been okay around the ball from a stoppage point of view, but it's one of Fremantle's real strengths. And, I know they're missing a few soldiers, but obviously so are we. So, it's going to be a pretty tight tussle, I would have thought, around the ball.
And how different is it for you planning to take on a Dockers midfield when they're missing Fife, Mundy, obviously Sherrod's gone, Sarong might not play, Darcy's in doubt. How different is that for you planning for that?
We're probably thinking, without Yo, Shuey, Sheed, we're trying to work through our issues as well. So I think this afternoon we'll really hone in on what Fremantle have got. We don't know who's playing for them at the moment, so until they get officially ruled out, there's a bit of guesswork. So tomorrow afternoon, I dare say both clubs will be sitting down and going, okay, who'll be playing? What are these players going to present in terms of challenges? So we'll get to that. But we know Fremantle, they know us. So those boys not being available, they've probably had a bit of that going on for a while too, here and there. So, we'll definitely work on it.
And can you just take us through your morning, every morning when you wake up and look at your phone? Is there a sense of, oh geez, what's going to come up now, given just what's been happening?
Yeah, what happens every morning is I do a rat test, and I sort of, side eye that one, and then I get a text about 7:30 saying these 2 players aren't available this week, or they're into the protocol. So I mean, it's a challenge for us I think we've had over 20 players now go to the protocols, so it won't go on forever. It's a moment in time that we're dealing with. So I've actually got a lot of energy at the moment. I think there's just so much growth opportunities. We're looking at it in a real positive sense. So, but there are a few players missing, so I'm not going to deny that one.
You're actually looking probably the most relaxed I've seen you in a long time last week. You spoke about the energy. What's it like just helping some young kids achieve their dreams, or in the case of Black, an old man, I guess, get his AFL chance after so long?
Yeah, I look really proud of our club and players to help those guys fulfil their dream, but we're here to win. But they all played their role. I mean, I know Blackie did a lap of honour through the media this week, and really good for him. And I've heard some good reports that they had a good time and they felt engaged and felt like they belonged. So that's great. But we are here to win games of footy, and we're here to beat Freo this week. But if those guys get a chance to play, we'll definitely embrace it as much as we can, because it's going to help us win as well.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Emma.
Adam, what are your
last one from me? So, that's probably going to be the same question. How is Nick? Because with Bailey Williams going down and you've got a couple of injuries, Stranatica, etc., is Nick a certainty to play this weekend?
Like, yes, I did say, mate, in the last 10 minutes that we'll wait till tomorrow to see how all of them pull up, mate. So he's no different. He's no different to the other boys. So they'd all train today. So tomorrow we'll see how they go. And the second ruck option, that's a good question, which I'm sure you asked. That's something we've got to work through, because there's probably not a standout in terms of an obvious one. We've got some options with obviously Dixon and Luke Edwards can do it, and Jamison, we've trained all pre-season as a forward ruck, but had to play back last week. So yeah, we need to work on that one, but we really can't until we get a health report tomorrow.
Are you okay? Is probably more the question.
Hey,
are you okay?
So is his body okay? Oh well, yeah, he's done anything for a week, so I hope so.
Cool.
Hey Adam, obviously Jack Darling had a shorter pre-season than the rest of the team, and his first game back was last week. How's he pulled up after his first round?
Yeah, no, he's good for the run. I know there was a little bit of criticism directed at Jack, and I think it was unfair. I know when you pull on the jumper and you play, there's expectations, especially someone of his quality, but he just hadn't done any contact work or physical work for 8 weeks. So to come in off an injury and play, he's good for the run. So he's right to go. Getting the synergy back with his teammates and connection piece, and the style of play that we're trying to implement, all those things, and that's all a challenge for Jack, being a deep forward. You need to get on the end of a few. So that's his next challenge, to try and connect with those boys. But no, we're pleased that he's back in the side, and there's no complaints with his foot.